4:33, and you're watching us from all over the place.
Oh, absolutely everywhere.
Morning.
So we kick off with Norfolk.
Yeah.
Barbara, morning Barbara. We're in Norwich in sunny Norfolk. My husband and I watch GBNEWS every day and we think it's great. It would be also great if Norwich had a mention as it's a lovely place to live. Keep up the good work.
Well, good morning, Norwich.
Norwich, you've got beautiful churches and things around that area, haven't you? I think.
52, one for every week of the year, and they used to have 365 pubs.
How do you know that?
Because I'm from Norwich.
There you go. Lovely.
It's not like that anymore, most of them are closed.
Benedict Spence and Nabila Ramdani are with us, so we're just going to do the papers in a second. But I want to say hello to Elizabeth. Morning, Stephen and Anne. It's Elizabeth from Berkeley. We are 5 miles from from Newcastle. The Angel of the North is at the end of our town.
Oh, I love
lovely.
Angel of the North.
Yeah. Berkeley is as you join the A1 on the way to the Metro Centre. I hope we are included in your hotspot. I watch you every morning before work and after work on a night and weekends. Brilliant. Best channel on the telly.
Have you been to see the Angel of the North?
I've driven past it many times, yeah. I've never actually gone and looked at it properly,
yeah,
but it is
up to it.
stunning. Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's like weirdly simple, but it just works. It's just mind-blowing. I love it. Gee, now, I don't know what's going on with Milton Keynes today. Milton Keynes better had be on the map, on our sort of monitoring map. Jean, good morning to you. Jean lives in Milton Keynes. Believe it or not, a beautiful place to live. We have over 22 million trees, lots of green space, plenty of work. Milton Keynes has got the worst rap.
Why?
The worst PR. I think it was because when it was built 52 years ago, that it will have looked like concrete, because it's all underpasses and everything.
Roundabouts.
And roundabouts. So I think it will have looked very... But, of course, in the last 50 years, it has become this incredible green space. You can drive through the middle of Milton Keynes, you don't see any houses, you don't see anything.
Is that the one... Is Milton Keynes the one with the roundabout with the sheep on it?
It's... we've got some cows.
Oh, they're cows. Maybe I'm thinking it's cows.
We did have concrete cows.
Yes.
Yeah, which are in a field.
That sort of became famous as well.
Yeah, so I moved to Milton Keynes about 12 years ago, and I'm a country boy. And it's the greenest place I've lived, even compared to the Lake District.
But it's got lots of facilities as well, hasn't it?
Families. I love it. Well, I'd love to know where... If you see me, Jean, out and about in MK Centre, give me a nudge. I'll take you for a coffee.
There's a promise. Julie says, hi, Stephen and Anne. I'm watching from Belfast. We go back to bed on a Sunday with a cup of coffee and watch.
Nice.
I watch GBNEWS every day, nearly all day. It's best channel with everything so open to discussion, and it's wonderful. I love the idea of getting up, making breakfast or something, and then going back to bed to watch the telly.
That's quite nice.
That's quite a treat for a Sunday morning.
Andrew, good morning, he says. We may be but a small blip on your radar, but please give us in Stoken Church in Buckinghamshire a mention. As Anne knows, we're set in the beautiful Chilterns. We regularly watch your refreshing programme. OK,
I'll outdo that. Dawn says, good morning, Anne and Stephen. My son Edward and myself are viewing your news programme, which we love, from hotspot Marbella, Spain. Well done with the show.
Very, very, very nice. Angie says, love to you both. It's great to see you working together again. Yes, we're enjoying it too, well, I am. Thanks for bringing us the smiles and the fun to the weekend. And that's Ange from Coventry.
OK, let's go through the papers now. So what are we looking for first? Benedict, I think we're looking at higher education in the Telegraph?
Yes, this is the news that a lot of vice-chancellors have been getting a lot of pay rises over the last couple of years, but the standard of education at universities is going down. I don't think this will come as a massive shock to anybody who knows that a lot of teaching has been moved online. Anybody who's
and still is
online. There are still strikes going on about university staff pay, all that sort of thing. And, you know, when you bear in mind a lot of people who are doing certainly humanities degrees where you only get 3 or 4 hours of contact time anyway, I think a lot of people are beginning to question what it is that they're paying for. I mean, the Telegraph here gives the example of UCL, University College London, which paid £589,000 as lump sum split between the outgoing Vice-Chancellor and the new Vice-Chancellor, all whilst all the teaching has been moved online. So students are expected to move to the capital in a lot of cases, fork out an awful lot of money, take out huge loans, and get very little actually in return for it. And I think that this is something that I talk about whenever I'm given the opportunity. It is an an epic swindle on an awful lot of people, young people in this country, who are persuaded as teenagers to take out huge loans for massively diminishing returns.
And there was a report out a couple of months ago saying that the universities were making massive profits.
They are making massive profits, and it's not all just from UK-based students. This is a large part of the problem. They get money from people from overseas, especially from China and India. They make an awful lot of money out of basically giving out degrees for people to say, I've got a degree from an English university, and then they go back, and it's a sign of prestige.
And I think increasingly vice-chancellors and chancellors are effectively working as PR people, try to attract as many students from abroad and as much capital, and that's what they paid for, not so much for, delivering education, but or making, for the smooth running of university and its higher aim and ideal of educating people. But it's very much universities are effectively run like a business.
Yeah, it's a bit concerning. I just sort of think there's a lot more for a lot of young people to go into apprenticeships and all that sort of thing and do it. You can get a degree later on through a lot of businesses.
If you need
can't
to.
If it's a degree like law or medicine or mechanical engineering, something like that, yes, go to university. But the way I would frame it for most people who are thinking about studying English or history or anything like that is, if you had £30,000 right now, would you spend it to be able to read for 3 years? If that sounds great, then do it. If not, if that's not a good use of £30,000, why on earth would you do it? And actually, I think a lot of people would make more sensible decisions if they looked at it in those terms. And of course, it isn't just £30,000, because then there's the interest that comes on top of that. That's £30,000 if you're very lucky and you're able to get a good job.
You become wiser when you've actually had a bit of life experience. And, you get better at studying law or indeed, history, or when you've travelled a bit, when you've learned
It takes us back. I mean, it was Tony Blair who said that everybody should go to university. Why did he believe that?
Oh, it's massage unemployment figures amongst young people.
I don't think anybody listens to what he has to say anymore.
Well, they don't then, but they did. Sorry, they don't now, but they did then.
On everything from education to wars in the Middle East, we listened a little bit too much to Tony Blair.
It's such a shame.
It was target setting of 50%, wasn't it?
But it's not too late to reverse this. But the problem is, now that the universities exist, they're sort of addicted to the money that comes in from this process. There's no will to reverse that, even though it is doing a lot of damage, I think, to young people.
I remember Michael Gove pushing it when he was education, or was he education? It might have been Shadow Education Secretary at the time.
He was education.
But the problem is that it's very difficult for the Tories when they took over to try and cut back on that without looking like they're being elitist.
Yes, well, I mean, it's difficulty, but I suppose if you're a Tory government, you're always going to look elitist or be accused of being elitist in some sense. A brave government would do something about this, like a brave government would do something about the housing crisis. But we are not blessed with brave politicians these days.
No, but we have brave youngsters, and they should be speaking out more against this. I know at least 2 of my sons feel that their degrees were a waste of time.
I feel that mine was completely.
Yes, I think that's why there's a lot to be said about apprenticeship and actually getting skills that will take you somewhere, and life, transferable skills.
Well, now to be a journalist now, you have to have a degree and then a master's in journalism, really, to get in anywhere.
Well, yeah, possibly, yeah.
Well, you need an additional, whether it's a master's or whether it's an NCTJ course.
I mean,
you need to take something else afterwards.
You see, I did a degree in broadcast journalism. It was the first ever undergraduate degree in the country. Now they're everywhere. But it was a vocational degree. In effect, it was Nottingham Poly, which had become Nottingham Trent University. Now, it's served me very, very well.
But I was trained on the job. I had an apprenticeship for a newspaper. And I was trained on the job and paid while I was trained.
I mean, do you not have a degree?
No, I don't have a degree.
Oh, good
no.
grief.
The thing that I would also
have one either.
That's why I insisted all my boys must go to university and get degrees, because I've got a chip on my shoulder about not having one. And at least 2 of them feel that it's a waste of money.
I don't have a journalistic degree, but I do have degrees.
What degrees? Multiple degrees.
But I keep that quiet when I deal with news editors and desk.
How did you afford to do your degrees?
Well, I studied in France, and then I have to say, when I came over to the UK, I had to pay the full, the full fees, and that was a very unpleasant experience.
Expensive.
Yeah, quite a cultural difference, actually.
Sorry?
How did you get yours?
Get my what? My degree? Oh, I just turned up.
I don't quite need that. I mean, who paid for it?
Oh, I paid for it. I took out a loan. I took, like everybody else who was told that this was a loan that would be interest-free, and then it turned out that it wasn't. But what I would say to myself back then is, as I would say to anybody, look, if you're bright and you're going to be paying for this yourself by taking out a loan, think about maybe going abroad, think about going to the United States, think about going to Europe, where if you're going to be paying for this stuff anyway, get an experience that isn't just going to university town and drinking for 18 months, and then, because you can do that elsewhere, use the opportunity to get some interesting experiences. Don't just go through the system and then just fall into a job that actually you don't need this degree for, really.
But it has to be said that British universities are particularly attractive for foreigners, so that's the reverse happening.
Yeah.
You know, especially people who are looking for understated confidence because they think that's what British universities deliver.
I have
And
been
it's
to.
Whereas it's the private schools. that-
I've been to degree ceremonies now where literally 90% of the people coming onto stage have been Chinese,
Yes.
and it's just like.
Again, it's because there is a degree of status that comes with a Western.
But also,
degree.
that's what the universities want to do that because
Yeah.
more money coming in.
Yes,
A lot
but
of them have
are we
campuses
really?
in China as well now.
Are we
That's something
attracting
else.
them to come here to study for a degree at a British university, keeping them locked up in their halls and teaching them online?
Yep.
Because that doesn't seem very good business model either.
Well,
I have to say
it
for
seems to work for them.
universities, I mean, I studied at the London School of Economics, for example, and they train foreigners to become leaders in their own country.
Yes,
So that's, you know, and they've set up an exchange program with Beijing in China. So they get fabulously rich students who spend most of their time shopping and get a degree back home, and the idea is they will go back home with more liberal, progressive ideas, and they will be part of the elite, and we can
Wow.
talk with them and have exchange with them. But of course, that is in practice.
Just to quickly illustrate this, on the campus of Royal Holloway University of London, just outside the campus, is a dealership that sells fast cars, Aston Martins, Porsches, that sort of thing. The average student doesn't do that, but it does have an awful lot of Chinese students who live
My
there.
goodness me.
Who do you think they're selling them to?
Yeah.
They're selling them to there whilst they're at university there.
Wow.
My goodness.
Well, that was an education.
Well, it was.
But it
I
has
won't charge you anything for it.
But it has eaten all of our time. But it's been very good.
It's
to
an
see you
incredible
both
subject,
this
though,
morning.
isn't it?
Thank you.
Education affects us all.
Wow.
Education and apprenticeships and things like that. Oh. Let us
Okay.
know what your experiences is, please. We'd love to hear from you. GBViews@gbnews.uk.